Good Karma Brand Station.
It's time! It's time! It's Beta time!
You are watching a master at work.
Truth Nation, get ready for the greatest 60 minutes in radio, giving you his authentic and bold opinions, bringing you all the information, entertainment, and conversations you gotta hear. From local issues to trending topics and headline news, it is time for Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace on the award-winning 1017 The Truth app, 1017thetruth.com, and streaming live on YouTube. Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, here is your award-winning host, Kyle Wallace.
Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. I am Kyle Wallace, and I'm coming to you live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. 833-212-1017. That is the Truth Talking text line. You can call in and text in and share all your thoughts today on today's show. Also, remember, you can watch and stream us live on the YouTube by going to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. That's 1017 The Truth on YouTube to watch and stream us live. Shout out to my producer, Rhea Riley, holding it down on the ones and the twos.
Hello.
And shout out to you, Truth Nation. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. It was beautiful. It was hot. I'm going to tell you this right now. What a whirlwind. So Friday, my god sister was in town, and she's been in town. And so my god sister, she and her husband was coming in, to come hang out. And black folks, we move on a certain time. So, they're supposed to be there at like 6. We said after 6. So they came sometime after 7, whatever it was. It was cool. They came, and they parents, right? They don't get a chance to be, they don't get a chance to be kid-free too often. They don't live here. And so they was up here, and they had their family around, so they left the kids at their grandparents' house, and they was ready to kick it. And I say kick it at my crib. They got there probably about 7. They got there 7:15, 7:20. We got to like 11:30, and my god sister said, hey, y'all look a little tired. Y'all, we can head out. We don't want to burden y'all. And we both, you're supposed to be polite. We said, no, you good. Don't worry about it. We proceeded to drink and have a good time for another hour. I was exhausted. And then I had to go do some other stuff on Saturday, so I was exhausted. But good times with the family. But then today, I wasn't supposed to be here today. I didn't know if I was going to be here today. I had every plans of not having the show today because if you go on 1017 The Truth on YouTube, that's 1017 The Truth on YouTube, I got my little sticker. I had my civic duty today. I forgot I had jury duty. It wasn't until yesterday. I was cutting the grass yesterday, and I set an alarm. Thank goodness I did. I set an alarm for 5:30 to call down to find out if I got to go to jury duty. And so I'm thinking when that alarm went off, I said, what in the hell is this for? And I looked at it. I said, oh, this is jury duty. And so when I realized I had to do jury duty again, I made the call, and I'm brainstorming different ways to get up out of jury duty. I ain't going to lie to you. Rhea, have you ever did jury duty in Milwaukee?
I have not.
And so I was brainstorming many different ways. I was thinking like, all right, well, if it's doing with kids, I'm going to say, listen, if it's doing stealing car, if it's kid boy, guilty. Guilty. Listen, I done been victimized. Well, not me, but I know people been victimized by the kid boys. Guilty. And it had to do with any, I was going to say when it came to certain people who didn't look like me, I was going to say, if you conservative and you don't look like me, I may say guilty too. And then, just to boot, I was going to say I was mad about Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl, a non-American, according to some. So I was looking for a way out. But it ended up being delightful. We showed up, was there for almost 2 hours, and then they gave the announcement that we were good to go for the day. And then they told us, oh, you also don't need to come tomorrow. So I was like, hot diggity dog, your boy is back. So I was super, super excited to do my civic duty, but then also get released today from jury duty. But with that being said, Truth Nation, you already know what it is. It's Monday, and usually on Mondays, we always got to hit y'all with that weekend recap.
Truth Nation, we know you have a busy life, and the weekend went by too fast. If you missed any of the headline stories, no worries. We got you covered on the top stories you may have missed. Tap in for the weekend recap on Truth to Power. Kyle, tell Truth Nation the biggest headlines they need to know.
Truth Nation, some of the biggest headlines y'all need to know. We're going to start talking about Tommy Thompson. Tommy Thompson should be a name that most Wisconsinites should know, or Wisconsinites who are older millennials or definitely Gen Xers and baby boomers. They should all know who Tommy Thompson was. Tommy Thompson was the former governor of Wisconsin. He is now 83 years old. And last week, he made a major announcement, or in an interview, he made a major mention that the 83-year-old former governor of Wisconsin was strongly considering running for governor again. He said right now he is mulling, well, he told our sister station 620 WTMJ that he is seriously considering running for governor of Wisconsin. And to me, that was crazy. Because if elected, the first time he was elected is in 1987. But if elected, he wouldn't get in office until he was 85 years old. 85 years old. This man is 83 years old talking about running the state of Wisconsin again. And one thing I wish my colleagues at 620 WTMJ did is I wish when they heard this 83-year-old, I'm not going to say AC now because I don't know that, but this 83-year-old man who's disillusioned talk about running for governor. Why? Why did they not say, with all due respect, Governor Thompson, you were a wonderful governor, but at what point is it time to pass the torch? At what point do we finally allow for the next generation to run this state? At what point do we just take a step back? Because as an 83-year-old man thinking about running an election that which more than likely is going to heat up next year, and then not take office to January of 2026 when you'll be 85 years old, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So, hey, if Tommy Thompson enters the race, that's a terrible decision by Tommy Thompson, and I hope nobody votes for him. Tommy Thompson and anybody else old, like, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, y'all just please pass the torch. You got Mitch McConnell in his 80s freezing up. Dianne Feinstein legitimately died in office. So they just need to go ahead and move on. Let the younger generation come on and lead. It's time to go. Enjoy the rest of your life. All the work has been done now. Enjoy the rest of your life. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk about is Tommy Thompson, the former governor of Wisconsin, seriously considering running for governor. He is currently 83 years old. He was first elected in 1987, served until I want to say 2002 before he became the leader of the health department for the United States under the Bush administration. But 85 years old if he gets elected. Crazy. The next story is the Common Council pushes back on a wheel tax. Now, y'all know 2 weeks ago, and last week, but 2 weeks ago, we discussed the budget proposal from Mayor Cavalier Johnson. Now, I don't know much about this Common Council member. His name is Scott Spiker. I don't know much about him, but I keep seeing him in the news. I keep seeing quotes in the news. I keep seeing back and forth in the news. And I kind of like what he's talking about. Now, he represents a district on the 13th district, which is more south than here. But I like some of the conversations he has, like last week, which I think it was a little harsh. But I was talking to one of my colleagues here, and last week he made one of the assistant police chiefs cry as they were having a conversation about the chase law and about the dangers of police chases and chasing vehicles. And, after what happened a couple weeks ago where, a family died because police were chasing a reckless driver, just talking about these chase laws. And so, or I should say rules. And he was being straightforward, to the point. The woman claimed he was being mean to her, but it is what it is. But I kind of like what he be talking about. And when we discussed the budget, I talked about that wheel tax, right? And as part of the current wheel tax here in Milwaukee, it is $30. And in the budget proposed by Mayor Cavalier Johnson is looking to up it to $40 to help raise an additional $2.7 million to help our budget deficit. Now, again, I fully understand and I get that we are in a crisis and the mayor is trying his best and his team is trying their best to come up with ways to fix this budget deficit. And many other counties and many other cities, municipalities, and many other places are also doing the same thing to try to figure out how can they maintain the roads here. And this is a potential thing that they have in their toolbox. And charging user fees to, for people to use the roads, it's feasible. It makes sense. But as I said in the past, where does this stop, right? Where does this stop when it comes to continuing to charge us? And again, I don't want people to think that this is just something that Milwaukee has to deal with. This is something that you see other communities outside of Milwaukee doing the exact same thing. But the reason why I wanted to bring up Scott Spiker is because of the fact that he says something that I think should not go unnoticed. And Scott Spiker said, rather than pursuing imaginative solutions to persistent problems, Cavalier Johnson opens up the dusty playbook from previous administrations and called in a familiar set of plays. Johnson persists with the same tired and true approaches of taxing, borrowing, and cutting that have become the hallmark of his administration. Now, the reason why I wanted that to be out there is because we need more politicians like this. We need to have more dialogue like this. Just because you are critical of someone does not mean that you don't respect someone. Just because you don't see eye to eye on the approach does not mean you dislike someone. I'm sure Scott Spiker and Cavalier Johnson have a professional respect for one another and probably a personal respect for one another, just like I deeply respect Cavalier Johnson and everything that he has done for the overall city of Milwaukee. I still think there's areas to grow. But I think Scott Spiker makes a great point when he talks about rather than pursuing imaginative solutions to persistent problems, he opens up the dusty playbook from previous administrations and calls a familiar set of plays. That is a constant complaint that so many of us have had about the city of Milwaukee under the leadership of Tom Barrett and now under the leadership of Cavalier Johnson, is that it seems like they are lacking a vision. It seems like they're still doing the same old things. And until we can move past it, I think we'll find ourselves in the same cycle of struggling in this community. So again, I like when a politician like that says stuff like that because it resonates with me, and I hope it resonates with you all. And again, I understand that as a person that uses the streets, there's going to be fees that I have to pay. There are going to be fees I have to pay. But I feel like our city leaders way too often are taking the easy way out way too often. So for example here, if y'all did not know, there are currently fees that have gone up and fees that will continue to go up in the city when it comes to those who use vehicles. So for example, there's a vehicle transfer fee here in Milwaukee that is going up from $157 to $207 in 2026. That is a $50 increase. So if somebody was to buy a car, right, or somebody was to sell a car, but I believe it's buying a car, transfer of a car, there is a $50 fee. There's a fee that you have to transfer the vehicle. Currently, it's $157. In 2026, it'll be $207. When you buy a new car, there's an additional fee you have to pay. Now, in addition to that, a Class D license renewal is also going up. It just went up October 1st from $24 to $32.50. Currently, the state vehicle registration fee is $85. Get your vehicle registered in the state of Wisconsin is $85. Milwaukee County charges us $30, and the city is charging us $30, but is looking to up that by $10 to charge us $40. And I understand, again, this is what happens when you drive and you own a car. It is a luxury. It is a luxury to be able to have a car. I get that. Not everybody can have that. But I can say it is quite frustrating that we have to continue to pay these additional fees. So that's that story there. And lastly, what I want to talk about is education. There are two pieces of news that came out the education world. And I've always said I'm a moderate Democrat. I don't even like calling myself a Democrat, but I like saying moderate because I find myself in the middle but lean to the left for a lot of different things, but also things that I see on the right that I believe are common sense that I say, you know what, I like this. And Republican lawmakers are pushing for a bill which would restrict school districts from doing referendums to raise money if they have not turned in their financial reports to Department of Public Instruction. Now, the reasoning for this bill is that if a district is not in compliance, the school board will be prohibited from adopting resolution to hold a referendum. Now, obviously, anybody that hears this or reads this, and for us being in Milwaukee, understanding that $200+ million referendum that was passed, people voted yes to pass it here in Milwaukee, We are all too familiar with school districts who are not turning in, quote unquote, their homework or their financial reporting on time, which for MPS led them to having funds being withheld from them. Now, again, this clearly targets MPS, but I believe it is common sense because you can't come asking me to help you pay for stuff when you don't have your financial house in order. Now, granted, a referendum is basically you asking people to approve. So whether you don't have your financial house in order, people go up and they can vote and they can have whatever say. And it leaves it up to the voters to decide. But let me be very honest. What the last election showed me is how the lack of knowledge so many people have when they go and vote. Voters need to be more informed so when they make these decisions, they get the whole picture. Because that last referendum that was passed in the city of, in Milwaukee, the reason it bothered me so much that it got approved is because MPS did not have a plan. If you go to other school districts, this is the problem that we have. We have such low expectations for our school district and our leaders. And even if we have higher expectations, we don't do enough to hold them accountable. You go to other communities that are asking for referendums, they will have actual booklets to tell you exactly what they're going to be using the money for. They will go page by page talking about what we've had, the successes, the areas that we need to improve at. And they will let you know what the money will be used towards. What frustrated me so much with the last, when Keith Posley got this passed, I remember they got it passed and they're like, all right, well, we're going to come talk to y'all to see what y'all think we should do with this money and have some listening sessions. Whoa. I remember going to the page for MPS. It had no actual like, oh, we're going to use this money to fund this or do that. And so it makes me so upset when we just vote yes for things and we don't need to have a game plan. So I'm actually extremely happy that the Republicans here in Wisconsin are pushing this bill forward to try to have legislation. So if you do not have something as easy and as low-hanging as your financial reporting to DPI done, you will not be able to ask for a referendum. So now at least MPS and our school board will make sure that they get what the minimum done before they come asking for more money. Because trust me, before we get to 2030, there will be an ask for more money of us to help fund MPS. You can take that one to the bank. And lastly, there's another education bill that Chris Larson, who's a representative from Milwaukee in the state Senate, which is he's looking to, introduce and get passed. Now, this one I believe is so important. The bill is called The Money Follows the Student. And why I think that is so important, especially when it comes to education here in Milwaukee, is so often the third Friday, aka Census Day, for MPS helps set the funding for what schools will get per year. They take the census, the population of the school that day on third Friday, and after that third Friday for schools around the state, they say, okay, you have 1,000 students in the school, we need to make sure you give you this funding. Now, the problem with this is that if during the school year you get, if you get 50 more kids, your funding is at 1,000. Or if you have 1,000 kids and you go down to 950, your funding is still at 1,000. The funding does not follow the kid. And so what we have seen and what I have noticed over the years, and many of you know this, is that when you work with or about these private schools and some of these charter schools, they have the ability to kick your kids out and they don't have to take in other kids. MPS also has the ability to expel kids, but y'all can look up the record. MPS doesn't kick kids out the district like that. Now, when a kid who goes to a school in Milwaukee and lives in Milwaukee gets kicked out of a Milwaukee private school or a charter school, they're going to go back to MPS, and that means MPS is taking on more students, but the money isn't following. And I don't think that is fair that MPS is having to take on the burden of educating a kid and the money not following, and the school kicks a kid out halfway through, and the funding does not follow. I used to work in, a charter school, and I know how quick they are to kick some of them kids out. I think it's a game by how some of them do it, but I do understand. I think it's important for us to also support these private and charter schools because I want our kids to have the best options as possible. But when it comes to funding, I know some of these private and charter schools are underfunded, but that is not a way to get funding, is by kicking kids out and keeping the money and not letting that money go with the kids. So shout out to Chris Larson, who I have I do not see eye to eye with on many different things. I think he is an opportunist. I think he's always looking for how he can elevate himself and his platform. But I will say that this is actually a really good bill about the money following a kid. Same thing, if a kid get expelled from MPS and they end up going to a private charter school, which I'm sure doesn't happen too often, that money should follow. But the money should follow the student. But these have been the weekend. This has been your weekend recap here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. Make sure y'all watch and stream us live on YouTube. Go to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. That is 1017 The Truth on YouTube. When we come back on the other side, Another one bites the dust when it comes to downtown Milwaukee. We keep seeing these nightclubs that have a customer base that looks like us, finding themselves having to fight with the Common Council and fight with the city and fight with the police in order to keep their license. But once again, another one may bite the dust, and I think it may be our fault once again. You're listening to Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace. We'll talk about these nightclubs in downtown Milwaukee who look to try to have a clientele of black people, but for some reason, whenever we are their main clientele, problems seem to follow. We'll talk about that coming up next. It's Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace. Keep it locked.
More of Truth to Power is next on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Need a way to hype up your day?
Hey, is this Carolyn?
It is.
Congratulations, Carolyn. You just won this
Congratulations. Woo!
God is good all the time.
What would you do with $5,000?
I'm going to buy my nieces some school clothes because my nephew just passed away.
Oh.
So I'm going to get them some clothes.
Stay tuned into 1017 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com.
Your home has been working hard for you. Now it's time to let it work a little harder. With a home equity line of credit from Brewery Credit Union, you can turn the equity you've built into smart solutions. Pay off high-interest debt, remodel your kitchen, or take care of life's unexpected expenses with flexible access to funds when you need them. Apply today and put your home's value to work for you. Visit brewerycu.com or stop by Brewery Credit Union. Equal housing lender. Federally insured by NCUA.
We are the American Cancer Society, making strides against breast cancer. We are nearly 1 million strong and growing stronger every day. Join us on Saturday, October 11th at 8 a.m. at Summerfest Southgate as we come together for the Making Strides of Milwaukee Walk. Whether you walk for a survivor, in the memory of a loved one, or to support the American Cancer Society, you bring us closer to a future free from breast cancer. Are you ready to join the #1 breast cancer movement in the country right here in Milwaukee? Sign up for free today at www.makingstrideswalk.org/Milwaukee WI.
It's 1017 The Truth. Dr. Ken Harris for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Sometimes teams take a timeout to regroup and call the right play. When it comes to your home, Gina Della and her team at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin always have the winning game plan. Check out the championship caliber play call this month. A whole house of beautiful, new, energy-efficient Pella windows for as low as $297 a month, and get this, 0% interest for up to 60 months. That's like running a drive that keeps moving the chains with no penalties and no interest. And I can tell you from my experience, Pella Windows actually stop the drafts. You'll stay comfortable no matter how cold it gets outside. Think about it. Energy savings, comfort, and a great monthly payment you can actually manage. That's why I trust Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, and why this is the right time to make your move. Call today and schedule your free consultation at PellaWI.com. Certain restrictions apply. Ends 10/31 of 2025.
This is Truth to Power on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
Monday night at Lambeau just got even better thanks to American Family Insurance. Enter the Dream Weekend Sweepstakes for your chance at the ultimate Packers game day experience. One lucky winner will score tickets to the November 10th game, a pregame tailgate in Titletown, inclusive of meal and games, a signed Jordan Love jersey, Packers tour, swag, and more. Your Dream Weekend could be waiting. Don't miss your chance to enter. No purchase necessary. Enter by 11:59 Central Time on October 23rd. See official rules and enter at amfam.com/Packers. That's amfam.com/Packers. Also remember, if you're looking for a home or auto policy, make sure y'all go to amfam.com today, where you can get a quote instantly online, or you can find an agent near you. That's amfam.com. This is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth, and we're coming to you live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Now, I was talking about how my god sister was in town. My god sister was in town, still is in town. Shout out to her. And she was something that was very funny is that, so my god sister is married to a Nigerian prince, actually, and I think I was not on air yet, but I think Rhea was producing at that time still for us. Rhea, were you producing when I went to Nigeria for the wedding or no? You don't remember I went to Nigeria, so you probably weren't. When did you leave? You didn't leave in 2020. I thought it was 2024. Well, anyways, yeah, and I went down to Nigeria. It was a great time, but she's married to like this Nigerian prince. No, it's not 90 Day. He been here in school since he was like a teenager. And something that I noticed is that, so, we cooked for him. I cooked up a little some, my lady cooked up some. And I was like, all right, so the food's over here, the salmon's still in the air fryer, the size is right here. You can just grab the food. And she said, okay, cool, I'm going to grab his plate. And so, I got a plate in my hand, about to grab my own plate. And she said, let me go grab his plate first. And I thought to myself, boy, oh boy. Them Africans, they know how a household's supposed to be run, don't they? Ain't nothing wrong with that, is it, Rhea? Why are you shaking your head? What's wrong with feeding your damn king?
I didn't say a word.
You just shook your head. I looked at my girl. I said, ooh. Another side note is they asked us if we were cooking dinner or they gonna have snacks, and I said we're gonna cook dinner. She said, well, either way, I'll go make sure he was fed. I said, man, look, she American, but I tell you, them Africans, they know. Hey, listen, there's a trade-off. So, shout out to them. What a great model. Anyways, again, you can watch the stream live on YouTube by going to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. That's 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Now when I talked about on the other side, talking about another one may bite the dust. And I said that because I think it's unfortunate that another establishment, which, again, a lot of patrons that are African-American, black people, frequently by black people, is at risk of losing their license and being shut down in downtown Milwaukee. Now, earlier this year, y'all might have heard myself and the legendary Homer Blow discuss some different incidents that happened in downtown Milwaukee. In the battle of a nightclub in Milwaukee called Allure on Jefferson Street, Allure Bar, they were having to play by different rules. They had a rule where you had to be 25 and up to get into the bar, where other bars around them, which had a different complexion of folks that go to it, only, their license allowed for them to have 21 and up. We didn't think that was fair. We went back and forth about that. Now, in addition to that, hosts on this station have discussed in the past Elsa's. And Elsa's taking chicken off the menu after disturbances have happened, whether it was fights, whether it was shootings outside their establishment. They ended up taking chicken off the menu for a while. We discussed that as well. And now we are talking about Elmnt nightclub in Milwaukee having its license potentially revoked and being potentially forced to close. And this would not be the first time that they had to deal with this and fight this fight. But this time around, it seems like it may be extremely detrimental because the police in the city and even maybe the Common Council are looking to end the nightclub. Go to 1017 The Truth on YouTube or turn up your radio or turn up your 1017 The Truth app. You can always download the 1017 The Truth app in the App Store so you can hear the WISN 12 story about a nightclub called Elmnt Night Lounge, which a lot of us have gone to, potentially being shut down in Milwaukee.
First tonight, the call to revoke the license for a downtown Milwaukee nightclub.
And Milwaukee police want to shut down Elmnt Lounge right on Water. There was actually a deadly shooting outside that building in July, and that is where we find Kendall Keys live tonight, right near Water and Michigan Streets.
And Kendall police want to shut business down.
Yeah, right, Derek. There's been multiple instances of gun violence outside this club over the summer. And after 2 people were killed, 3 more shot outside of the club. The glass at these neighboring businesses had to be replaced. Now police are acting using their authority and filed this revocation complaint. Elmnt Lounge, a nightclub on Water Street, sits in the heart of the entertainment district. It's also the backdrop of violent crime scenes this summer.
We've consistently gotten complaints from neighbors about noise, commotion, gunshots, fighting over the years.
MPD wants it closed and filed a license revocation action. Alderman Robert Bauman represents the downtown district. So you want to see this business's license pulled?
At this point, yes.
The complaint includes an ad for a July event promising live music and ladies in free. It says a group of individuals, including an artist, walked up to Elmnt Lounge to get wristbands for a VIP section when 2 vehicles pulled up and stated, "You thought I wouldn't find y'all." And the gunfire began. 39-year-old Kevin Lewis and beloved promoter Antoine or Tweezy Hogan's died. The owner didn't return 12 News' calls or emails, but did speak to us after the July shooting. Without showing his face, the owner defended his business.
We were doing our honest business. Somebody's a bypasser on the road, and some random 2 cars came up. They start shooting, ma'am. Tell me, how should I control them?
In addition, police say patrons gather inside the Chase Bank parking garage across the street at night, calling the practice parking lot pimpin'. After a Freaknik event at the lounge in June, someone was shot in that parking lot.
And if it's clubs like this that have repeated incidents of gun violence, those businesses have to be dealt with.
Property owners reporting financial losses in excess of $100,000 from tenants breaking leases due to safety concerns, late night noise, and waste accumulation.
Because their cost to the greater city and to the public good of the city is far exceeds whatever benefit they're providing.
And Kendall's back with us live tonight. Kendall, the business license for Elmnt
so
has
for me, when I hear
previous.
These stories, shout out to WISN 12, Derek Rose. But when I hear these stories, I'm always left pondering, whose fault is this, right? Like, whose fault that this continues to happen? Are we the black community to blame for some of these bars in downtown Milwaukee having these issues? 833-212-1017. That is the Truth Talking text line. And for me, it's hard to watch an establishment like Elmnt Night Lounge to have to take the fall for some of the ridiculous actions of some people in the community. You even hear it in the news story, is that in this scenario, there's multiple scenarios that they gave, and you heard the owner of the club even kind of defend it, right? Is that in this scenario, someone drove past the club and said, you didn't think we was going to find you. Now, they're outside driving past the club, and then they decide to shoot it up. They did not enter the club. They were not shooting inside the club. The incident happened on Milwaukee property. A vehicle drove down the street and shot up the entire block. How is it that establishment's fault for the bad behavior of reckless and extreme individuals? I find that to be so unfair to the establishment. And even them talking about the Chase parking lot. Okay, so you're going to blame Chase? Is Chase going to have to shut down their parking lot and not let anybody park there because of the parking lot pimping going on? How can you say an event happened over here, a Freaknik event that happened here, and if folks went to a parking lot across the street, but for some reason it's Elmnt fault? The problem that we have here is beyond Elmnt. The problem has to do with people. And if you ask me, the fact that somebody was able to drive down a whole block, shoot it up, and them still trying to find who did it is crazy to me. Where were the police at? How weren't they able to catch people right away as they drove up an entire block and shot it up and left windows busted? But again, when I hear these stories, I'm all about accountability. And so instead of, just blaming this business, I do have to say that some of this is maybe our fault. 833-212-1017. Why does it always seem like the blacker the establishments in downtown Milwaukee, the more trouble that may follow? And I hate having these conversations sometimes because I feel yucky whenever I speak negatively about this, because it makes me feel like I'm shedding a negative light on some of the community. But we do have to face the reality that when you talk about some of these incidents that happen downtown, so whether or not you're talking about Allure, yes, Allure had 25 and up age limit because some folks who look like us was causing issues and causing problems. So they had to deal with unfair stuff. Yes, did they take chicken off the menu? And we know we enjoy the chicken that they have over there at Elsa's to probably try to calm down who the patrons were or change who the patrons were at their place. They took a hit financially because they couldn't deal with the nonsense that was happening. And now you got Elmnt Night Lounge, one of the very few places in downtown Milwaukee. There's some that encourages for people who look like us, people of color, to come down there and have a good time. And now they are threatening for, once again, to be shut down because of nonsense that is happening outside the club. To me, I think it's about us as a community more so than the business owner. But again, 833-212-1017. Are we the problem when it comes to the nonsense that happens in downtown Milwaukee? Are we the problem? Are we so hard to serve as a community that the places that want to serve us have to deal with lawyer fees, have to deal with going to the Common Council just to fight to keep their doors open? 833-212-1017. Is it our community's fault? On the other side, I will take calls. I see you on the line. Again, 833-212-1017. That is the Truth Talking text line. You can call in. You can also text in with your thoughts on this conversation. You can also go to YouTube. That's 1017 The Truth on YouTube. 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Share your comments. Make sure you give us a like. Make sure you give us a share. Make sure you give us a subscribe as we're having a conversation about Elmnt Night Lounge in downtown Milwaukee potentially having to close its doors because of the nonsense and the behavior of some folks that look like us. We'll talk about that and more and take your calls next.
Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
Tired of that Golf Channel day and night? Maybe it's time to get out there. Coldwater Canyon Golf Course at Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. A traditional front nine and a link-style back nine. Perfect for a family outing or a stay-and-play package. And Chula has new thrills like the futuristic Rainbow Rapids Water Park Edition and dual zipline racing. Plus Wisconsin's #1 rated steakhouse. All on site. Check it all out at chulavistaresort.com.
This is your Versity Blood Center of Wisconsin Community Impact Moment on 1017 The Truth.
And what are some of the ways that you're inspiring people? Because, you know, one of the biggest opportunities, in particular in the African-American community, is access, exposure, and awareness.
For Versity Blood Center of Wisconsin, we've been here 76 years.
Wow.
And our mantra is saving the lives you love. So if someone you love needs a blood transfusion and they're in any hospital in Southeast Wisconsin here, that blood's coming from us. And so we're trying to make sure that we're communicating that, because I think folks maybe don't understand that blood can't be manufactured. And summers are always tough because schools are out and we collect about 20 to 25% of our blood from schools. Mm-hmm. So it's always a day-to-day struggle. We say that the blood that's on the shelves is the blood that saves lives. And a lot of times people are compelled to donate when something bad happens. And our mission and our job is to educate folks so that we can get ahead of the curve and keep 3 days of inventory on the shelves. Mm-hmm. So we're in a decent spot right now, but we're on the streets every day trying to inspire people to join our mission. One of our big projects that we're proud of is Versity on King, which is part of the Thrive On collaboration in the Gimbel Schuster building on Martin Luther King Drive. And next year, we're going to open a destination center there. It'll be a blood donation center, but it'll be more than that, because we've realized that we can't be transactional with our relationships in the Black community. We need to do things that are intentional and that show that we're there to stay. But the reason that we're there is because not enough people that look like us donate. And so for disorders like sickle cell disease that disproportionately affect us, the race can matter. But I like to say that, you know, Black folks have a superpower in their blood. 44% of Black blood donors will have this rare trait that makes their blood more likely to be able to be a match for a sickle cell patient. And that 44%, like that is way higher than what we would find in other races.
To make an impact by donating blood in your community, visit versity.org today.
This Associated Bank Sports Update on 1017 The Truth is powered by ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Nazir Spencer. The Green Bay Packers resume their season next Sunday at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. It's Game 2 of the NLDS tonight as the Brewers take on the Cubs at American Family Field after their standout win 9-3 in Game 1. WTMJ's Brewers extra inning host Dominic Cotroneo says the rest day was crucial.
I think this helps the Brewers immensely. Baseball is obviously a routine-driven sport, momentum-driven sport. The way I see it for the Brewers, the fact that they got to use Aaron Ashby, and he's a guy that likes to be used a lot and gets a day off. He'll be available again tomorrow. Jared Koenig got work. All these bullpen arms that maybe you weren't expecting to see in such a blowout game, this off day can only help the Brewers.
First pitch is at 8:08 this evening. Badger football loses to the 15th ranked Michigan Wolverines 24-10. Badgers look to play Iowa next Saturday. This sports update brought to you by Associated Bank, proudly supporting your hometown teams. Member FDIC.
It is Truth to Power on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
It's one call, that's all, with Gruber Law Offices. If you or a loved one is ever injured in an accident, do not hesitate to make one call, that's all, to Gruber, because they will take care of you. I'm telling y'all this right now. Don't go back and forth with the insurance companies. It is not worth your time. They are working in their best interest. They are not looking to give you the money you deserve. I'm still mad at my insurance company about the deductible I had to pay that they swore up and down when I got into it. Somebody hit me before, and they swore up and down they were going to get that deductible back. They said, oh, we're going to get it back. We're going to sue her and get it back. Yeah, okay. So the second time I had an accident, again, people hit me. The second time, I said, I ain't messing with y'all. I'm calling Gruber Law Offices, and you know what? It was the best decision that I made. So if you or a loved one that's ever in an accident, don't go back and forth with the insurance companies. Get the law firm that will work for you. And remember, you never pay a single penny until they win your case. Visit them today at gruber-law.com. That is gruber-law.com. Or you can make one call, that's all, to 414-276-6666. That's 414-276-6666. It's one call, that's all, with Gruber Law Offices. It is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. I'm your host of Truth to Power, Kyle Wallace. And we're having a conversation talking about the misfortunes of the fact that a nightclub in downtown Milwaukee named Elmnt also has gone by many other names that, we've known it as the Ladybug. We've known it as 618. We've known it as Live on Water, the 8. We've known it all these different names. And regardless of the name, oh, there's some Amish people out here. Rhea, look at that. I wonder how they got here. On a little buggy. See her little hat on, a little dress, holding hands. Anyways, Amish do good work. But having a conversation about, regardless of who owns the place, they've had multiple owners over the last 25 years. Regardless of the name of the place, it still ends up being a place that there are issues. And I do not think it has to do with the owners, and I think it has to do more so with the people who are patrons to this place. And a lot of those people who bring the dysfunction, the drama, and the issues are some of the people from our community. So again, 833-212-1017. Who is to blame for some of these nightclubs and these places in downtown Milwaukee that are trying to attract an audience that look like us, but they have to run into issues like Brownstone, where somebody foolishly was not allowed in. They weren't allowed in. That was rightfully not allowed in. And then they foolishly came back and shot it up. That's not Brownstone's fault. It's not Brownstone's fault for telling somebody you are underage or you're not allowed to come in here. It's not Elmnt's fault that somebody pulled up and said, oh, you didn't think we were going to find you, and then all of a sudden shoot up the whole block. How is it their fault? They didn't bring that type of drama. I think that falls on our community. 833-212-1017. White Widow, what are your thoughts on this conversation?
Wow, history repeating itself. Location. My first husband and I worked at GM, and he ran a bar on 29th and Lisbon. 2 people were shot during that time. Then we had a bar on 30th and Hadley. No problem. Then we went on to 67, 2 blocks off of Wisconsin. His mom had a bowling alley, 3 pool tables, a big oval bar. Bingo, that was a problem. Anytime you go into a local bar, a new establishment, you got to weed out people because, no one will tell you down the block that's that guy's problem. We had a problem with the West Dallas greasers. And it got to a point where it's month to month, our north side people would not come there, and we had the best shooters in Milwaukee. Our north side at 29th and Lisbon, Terry's Tap, the best shooters. Our black people would not come there because of the cops. Also, location. We had people in the neighborhood, because we were from Milwaukee, calling a little bit more often about the issues. We went month to month to the Common Council to keep our license. So, yeah, I think location. I think there's a little bit of racism here about where they are and who patronizes. If there's a congregation at Chase, okay, that can be remedied. And like I said, our bar on 29th and Lisbon, 2 people were shot, and we didn't even lose our license. But I don't know. You tell me. I think they should give these people a chance.
I think there just needs to be. I mean, again, I think it's more of a community problem, more so than anything else. I think there's just some people, and it's not a whole community. We're talking about a small minority of people that continue to ruin everything for everybody. And when I say that, I say that with passion because I'm sick of it. We saw this at Summerfest, where you got thousands and thousands of young kids, black kids, who are at Summerfest doing the right thing, but all it takes is for 25 of them badass kids to ruin it for everybody. But 833-212-1017, Allen, Milwaukee, what are your thoughts about Elmnt Night Lounge potentially closing?
Well, what we got to stop seeing, it is a community problem. That's not part of our community. That's not even black people. That's them other kind of people. We don't want them in our community. We don't even want to go where they go. Matter of fact, we don't care where the hell they go. But we need to start putting this out here. This is not a community problem. This is not a black problem. That's them other people problem.
Who's them other people,
And they know
Al?
that because
when you say other people,
you know them other people. Can I say the word? If you say yes, I say the word. Can I say the word? Can I say it?
Are you talking about the N-word?
Yeah, that's the problem. Okay. That ain't black people. So let's stop putting that with black people and the community. We don't want them in our community. Hell, when we go out, we don't even want to be around them. Where do they go? The liquor store and probably your church. And even when they leave church, they still going, that's not black people. So let's stop putting them and grouping them with blacks. Them the other kind. We don't even associate with them.
Yeah.
We don't even want them around us. We don't even care where they go. Matter of fact, let them go vote for Trump, because them the ones who like him anyway. You know why they like each other? Because they both act like them ends. That's not black. So let's stop putting them with blacks and seeing this community problem, because they are the issue who came to the community. We just want them to get the F out. They are not black. So let's stop putting them on blacks.
Okay. Thank you, Al. I just, again, we can live in this world where we see certain people, and again, I talk about a small minority of folks who ruin it for the majority, but I mean, you can call them what you want, but at the end of the day, they still look like us, and we have to, at some point, we got to figure this out. We got to face the fact that it's people from our community causing these problems, and I think about why I want Elmnt to stay open and why I support Elmnt is simply because of the fact that any other bar, who wants to serve our community, I want to support them. Right. I want them to stay open because I understand. I remember the times going out where it was, they had these dress codes, which they still may have dress codes. I have no idea. Rhea would know better than I would. I'm not in these streets. I have no idea whether or not these places have dress codes or not. But I just remember going out and they had such restrictive rules and dress codes in order to try to weed certain people out. I remember there was no Timbo's rule. There was you can't have Jordans. You can't have J's on. No Jabot jeans, right? There was no neck tattoos or no visible tattoos. Whatever they could find that they can attach to something that may be African-American, we know we love them Jabot jeans. But whatever they could attach to us, they absolutely did to keep us out and weed us out. It didn't matter what your personality was. It didn't matter what your record was. It didn't matter that you were just coming to have a good time. If you fit the description of fashion and style that, at that time, baggy jeans. I remember I had to pull my pants all the way up because back in 2011, 2012, I still was wearing baggy jeans. I think I went to more slender cut maybe around 2014. But it was like I had to pull my pants up to make sure they weren't baggy so they'd be a little bit higher even though they weren't really sagging. I couldn't wear my little J's that I had. I had to be, I had to change some of my characteristics, the way that I dressed in order to make sure that I got into some of these places. And I understood what that was. That was racism. That was trying to keep some black people out, keep what they believe was troublemakers out. And so when I think about these establishments that want to embrace us and want us to come in, I feel like we should truly rally behind them. And we should focus on the fact that, yes, there's fights and things that happen at all bars. All bars have fights. But I think when we look at the incidents that have taken place in downtown Milwaukee, many of those incidents have taken place outside. Even in the news report we played earlier from WISN 12, they specifically talked about things that happened outside. They didn't talk about, there was a shooting inside the club. They talked about somebody pulling up outside. They talked about what happened at the Chase building across the street outside. They didn't talk about what happened inside. The fact that an event happened and people were dispersed to go outside, to go home, and now they're trying to hold the bar accountable and use that against them, that people went to the Chase building parking structure and acted a damn fool, and they got parking lot pimping out there. Well, where the hell are the police to break up that? It is not their responsibility. Once somebody leaves your ground, that is not their responsibility. That is on the city to fix that and figure that out. So how are you going to say something happened at the Chase building? Well, why? Well, again, talk to Chase Bank. Don't talk to Elmnt Night Lounge. Don't talk to these other places. So again, it is imperative to me and so important that we we continue to support these bars that want to support us. So whether it's Brownstone or Cream City Social or Elmnt Night Lounge or wherever they have in downtown Milwaukee, these places that want us to patronize them, we need to make sure that we are supporting them, especially during these times when they're being blamed for incidents happening outside of their bar. OG Tweezy got shot outside of a bar, not inside. If he was inside the building, he would have been safe. But he was outside on a city street, on a vehicle that drove by, shot up the block, and kept going. So how we can blame these establishments is just an excuse. It is an excuse because regardless of what happens, what they need to understand, it is a bigger problem, it's a community problem, and I'll address that on the other side. So keep it locked. You're listening to Truth to Power here on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. We can take a quick call, about 30 seconds if you do, but at 833-212-1017, that is the Truth Talking text line. Make sure you watch and stream us live on YouTube by going to 101.7 The Truth on YouTube. But on the other side, I'm going to point out who really is to blame and what we need to do to fix this problem.
You are listening to Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app. Catch Truth to Power every weekday from noon to 1 p.m. 101.7 The Truth and Associated Bank have teamed up for our Black-owned business give back. Each quarter, 4 lucky businesses will win an opportunity for a monthly spotlight interview. Yes, you will win 3 interviews on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. To sign up for your business's chance to be highlighted on The Truth for 3 months, visit blackbusinessgiveback.com. That is blackbusinessgiveback.com. Associated Bank member FDIC.
It's 101.7 The Truth. Dr. Ken Harris for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Sometimes teams take a timeout to regroup and call the right play. When it comes to your home, Gina Della and her team at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin always have the winning game plan. Check out the championship caliber play call this month. A whole house of beautiful, new, energy-efficient Pella windows for as low as $297 a month, and get this, 0% interest for up to 60 months. That's like running a drive that keeps moving the chains with no penalties and no interest. And I can tell you from my experience, Pella windows actually stop the drafts. You'll stay comfortable no matter how cold it gets outside. Think about it. Energy savings, comfort, and a great monthly payment you can actually manage. That's why I trust Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, and why this is the right time to make your move. Call today and schedule your free consultation at PellaWI.com. Certain restrictions apply. Ends 10/31 of 2025.
Saving energy and money? It's easier than you think. Here are 2 simple things you can do to reduce your energy use and lower your energy bill. Use thermal curtains to reduce each room's energy loss by up to 25%. And make sure vents aren't blocked by furniture or rugs to improve airflow and comfort. Simple, smart savings. Get more energy-saving tips at WeEnergies.com. Again, that is WeEnergies.com.
Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are much closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. Learn more at associatedbank.com/lending or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's a bird bash at Potawatomi. Thursdays, you could win up to $50,000 cash in the Bird Bash game show. Just play with your rewards card this October for a chance to win. Wouldn't you like to rake in a huge pile of cash? Bird Bash, only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. More info at potawatomi.com/birdbash. Must be 21 years old to play.
You are listening to Truth to Power on 101.7 The Truth app, and streaming live on 101.7 The Truth on YouTube.
That's all I know. That's all I know. That's all.
It is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. I'm your host of Truth to Power, Kyle Wallace. And make sure you watch and stream us live on YouTube by going to 101.7 The Truth on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe as we're on our road to 5 1,000 subscribers. Give us a like. Give us a share as well. Today's conversation has really been focused on the fact that I just feel like something has to shake when it comes to these bars closing in downtown Milwaukee, is that we can get upset about, what the city's doing and some of these, what I believe, racially profiling rules that they have in order to keep us out. But at a certain point, we got to have a conversation about the fact that there are some people as part of our crowd and our community that go to these places and they act a damn fool. They cause issues and they take away options from us. And at a certain point, we need to talk about how can we start holding these individuals accountable for taking away opportunities for us to hang out. And for me, I always talk about it. I think it starts young, right? It's hard to hold a grown man or a grown woman accountable at 25. Right. So how can we readjust our mindset so we start holding some of these young folks accountable and make them understand that your actions truly do have consequences, right? There's consequences to that. And for me, I think about these incidences that we have discussed today with Elmnt Night Lounge in downtown Milwaukee. I think about what makes somebody believe that they have the power. What makes somebody believe they have the power to sit there and pull up to a club and get denied entry like they did at Brownstone? And get so infuriated and get so mad that you couldn't go to a club, and you come back and you shoot and kill your own people over entering a club. That's insanity to me. The fact that what would make one person believe that they can pull up to a bar in downtown Milwaukee and be mad at a person or a group of people and have other people around and drive up the block and shoot up the entire block, endangering so many people's lives and killing people. Like, what is going wrong on in these people's mind? The mindset is insanity. The mindset is crazy for you to think that that is okay to do. But if we keep this up, we will have nowhere to go. We will have no place to have fun. And we got to understand, having these bars and having these nightclubs are important because they're a great outlet, man. Life is stressful. You need to have a place to socialize. You need to have a place to let loose, have a good time, make memories, refresh yourself. So that's why we got to defend these places like this. This has been Truth to Power here on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. Appreciate y'all chiming in today. The Tory Lowe Show is up next from 1 to 4. And peace out, Truth Nation. I love y'all. I'll be back, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. No jury duty, baby. I'm back.
And let your feeling flow.